reason is that this is a natural issue for McCain, since it's a great way for McCain to appeal to social conservatives without having to wade into the specific social issues that tend to make him uncomfortable. And I'll definitely get more into the Supreme Court and McCain in a few moments. And then more generally, at a time when the Republican coalition is fractured, the Republicans will surely emphasize the judges issue because it's one of the few issues that not only unites the conservative base, but really the whole broader GOP coalition, including business. In contrast, while the left cares about judges, it's limited more to, let's say, the intelligentsia on the left. And, you don't have to believe me, basically, that it's an issue that cuts for Republicans. I mean, you just look at what happened in Senate races while Bush was president. I like this one quote from Karl Rove, who was speaking about 2002 elections. He said, "There's no doubt in my mind that we won races all throughout the country on the judges issue. We won the Senate race in South Carolina, judges. Won the North Carolina race, judges. Won the Georgia race, judges. In 2004, Republicans again made judges a central element of winning campaigns, both presidential and Senate level. The most famous example there is John Thune used the issue to beat Tom Daschle narrowly. 2006, Republicans did not make it an issue, which is too bad for them. It might have saved a few Senate seats. And as for the presidential race, I think the fact that the Republican contenders for president went out of their way to address the judges issue and the Democratic contenders were mum on it, pretty much tells you all you need to know about which way this issue cuts for which party. Let me go into some of the topics that I touched on in more detail, starting with McCain. He gave a very good speech on judges last week, and I think that reassured a lot of conservatives, but still there's some conservatives who wonder if he's sincere when he says he would appoint Supreme Court justices in the mold of Roberts and Alito. And, I think they're worried for a few reasons. One is just his maverick reputation. More specifically, though, some conservatives are angry at the role McCain played in the Gang of 14 deal that resulted in 2005 in Republicans pulling back from using the nuclear option to end Democrats' ability to filibuster judicial nominations. I've never really been critical of McCain on that for a few reasons. First, we got a lot of good judges confirmed as part of the deal, 6 circuit court judges, which is a lot, including great judges like Bill Pryor and Janice Rogers Brown. Also, it's not at all clear that we had the 50 votes on that issue. It would have been really bad if we tried to use the so-called nuclear option and failed. And then also, showdowns in Congress end in compromise. I mean, you can't have an attitude of, compromise is always bad. I guess another concern that conservatives have is that because of McCain-Feingold, McCain might shy away from appointing conservative judges who would be more likely to strike down McCain-Feingold. Not too worried there either. I mean, McCain has a long record of being against any sort of litmus test for judges. And perhaps even more importantly, he voted for confirming Alito and Roberts, even though he knew damn well that they were likely to vote to strike down or limit McCain-Feingold, which they in fact did in the very case that Jim mentioned, Wisconsin right to life. In any case, he's made this promise about the type of judges he would appoint to conservatives. I think he's likely to feel obligated to keep it, if only because it's his best way to satisfy social conservatives. Also, conservatives should take heart from the fact that he has Ted Olson, a conservative hero, heading his Judicial Advisory Committee, and Ted would clearly play a large role in picking judges in the administration. So that's one more reason to be reassured. But there is one more thing I think he could do to reassure conservatives, and that's get involved in helping to end the current obstruction of Bush's appeals court nominees. McCain has a big advantage here, really for 2 reasons. One, he has a bully pulpit to bring visibility to the issue, and this is an issue where the Democrats tend to back down when the issue gets a lot of visibility. Again, they know it's not a good issue for them. I think McCain's speech last week was a good start in bringing visibility to the obstruction that's going on. The other advantage he has is that as one of the main organizers of the Gang of 14, he can go back to the moderate Democrats in the gang and remind them of their promise to block nominees only for extraordinary circumstances. That was the language in the Gang of 14 deal. So it's really a great opportunity for him to prove what he's been saying all along, which is that the Gang of 14 deal, had real value. Let me now get to Supreme Court vacancies. I think it's unlikely we'll have one in the remaining 7 months of the Bush presidency. Clearly, if one came about, most likely at the end of the term in June, which is when they tend to be announced retirements, it would dominate the fight, would dominate the election. But I think, contrary to conventional wisdom, I think we could get a moderate conservative confirmed if there was a vacancy in June. And that's because if the Democrats tried to prevent, I think we would ultimately, if we pick someone like Roberts, we would ultimately win in a floor vote. And I think the Democrats would have a very hard time preventing a floor vote, because that would mean that we'd be one justice short for the entire next term, which I don't think they ultimately want to be blamed. They don't mind, like I said, they'll obstruct as long as it's low visibility, but you can't, have the Supreme Court be one justice short for a year and nobody notice. The most likely vacancies are liberals on the court. Stevens is 88, he's healthy, but your health can certainly go downhill quickly at that age. Ginsburg is the second oldest at 75. She's a cancer survivor and certainly appears frail. So it's more likely that McCain would be able to improve the court than that Obama would be able to improve it, because he would just be substituting liberals for liberals. But, then again, one of the conservatives and a moderate conservative, Kennedy, are old too. Scalia's 72, Kennedy's 71, and, we think of that as young for the Supreme Court, but, half the adult men in America don't make it to 80. So, that. And let me finish up by talking a little bit about the current obstruction, which, as I say, will be an election issue. You hear a lot of statistics thrown around. I mean, Leahy can convince you that he's not doing anything that didn't happen under Clinton. So it's a lot of he said, she said. But I think what you really have to focus on is some of what the Democrats have done is just completely unprecedented. Their use of the filibuster when they were in the minority, their blocking of so many judges for ideological reasons. Now, it's not that judges haven't been blocked before, but it's always for petty political reasons. I want my guy here, and the White House refused to give me deference. This idea that you can just wholesale block conservative judges really was telegraphed early in the Bush administration when the Democrat-controlled Senate Judiciary Committee held hearings explicitly to justify the use of ideology in confirming nominees. So the other statistic you can look at is that for the appeals court nominees, the most important ones, there's only been 7 confirmations in the 110th Congress, only 1 this year. That's far behind the historical average of 17 for the last 2 years of a presidency with the opposition party controlling the Senate. We won't get near the 17. We won't even get near the 15 that Clinton had in his last 2 years with the Republicans in control. We'll get at least 4 more, because there's 4 that have already been parts of deals that have been made with Democrats. But the real test is going to be getting 2 Fourth Circuit nominees, Bob Conrad from North Carolina, Steve Matthews from South Carolina, and Peter Keisler, a D.C. Circuit nominee who's been waiting for 2 years. Peter's probably the most deserving. Conrad and Matthews are probably the most important, because without them, a Democratic president can quickly tip the Fourth Circuit. That used to be the most reliably conservative circuit. It's a circuit where a lot of war on terror cases are heard, and without getting Matthews and Conrad confirmed under an Obama presidency, it would quickly become a liberal circuit.